episode 289. Welcome back, my friends. Have you heard and even used this phrase, work in progress? Maybe even while referring to yourself? Well, then let's talk about it in more detail because I am fascinated by the topic of work in progress. And it all started for me with the following quote by Dan Gilbert. Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. The person you are right now is as transient, as fleeting, and as temporary as all the people you've ever been. The one constant in our life is change. Gilbert conducted a study involving over 19,000 people to back up what first started with a hunch. In one of those studies, adults between the ages of 18 and 68 filled out a questionnaire, scoring themselves on basic personality traits such as extroversion, emotional stability, and openness to new experiences. Then the researchers asked them to do it again, this time answering either as they would have 10 years ago, or as they thought they would 10 years in the future. And the results indicated that on average people felt they had changed more in the past decade than they would in the next. And for the future, 18-year-olds anticipated changing only as much as 50-year-olds actually do. At every age, people underestimated how much their personality will change in the next decade. In additional surveys, the researchers found that people similarly underestimate changes in their personal values, things like success and security, and preferences like their favorite band and their best friend. These findings highlight that people aren't very good at knowing who they're going to be and hence what they're going to want a decade from now. In another experiment, Gilbert and his colleagues asked participants how much they would pay in 2012 to see their current favorite band play at a concert in 2022. They asked others how much they would pay to see their favorite band from 2002 play a concert next week in 2012. People were willing to pay 61% more on average for the future concert with their current favorite band than people 10 years older than them were willing to pay to see their favorite band from 2002 play in 2012. To this, Gilbert says, you'd think by the time people reach middle age, they realize that their favorite band today isn't necessarily going to be their favorite band in 10 years. Instead, participants substantially overpaid for a future opportunity to indulge a current preference. I find this highly interesting. These studies demonstrate that people believe they have changed more than they will change. People predict that the friend they have now is the friend they'll have in 10 years. The vacation they most enjoy now is the one they're going to enjoy again in 10 years. And yet, people who are 10 years older all say, it really changed. This view that we look back on more change than we actually predict for the future can affect our decision-making going forward. Gilbert thinks that it has to do with the ease of remembering versus the difficulty of imagining. Most of us can remember who we were 10 years ago, but we find it hard to imagine who we're going to be. How often have we looked back, surprised at how far we've come? But when asked about our future, we're hesitant. Yeah, maybe a new job sometime down the road, but nothing too risky. We think we'll be the same person in the same house, in the same circle of friends. Did you know that most cells in the bodies are completely renewed every 7 years? This means we are a completely new person every 7 years. How then can we know what this future person wants? Yet we decide over it now by accepting that we will want just what we want now. Yale University professor and experimental philosopher Joshua Knobe poses a similar question in a video that I will link to in the show notes. If the person you will be in 30 years, the person for whom you plan your life now by working toward career goals and putting money aside in retirement plans, is invariably different from the person you are today, what makes that future person you? What makes them worthy of your present self-sacrifices and considerations? Gilbert explores this exact paradox in his book, Stumbling on Happiness. Be ready, this is very funny, just as much as it is true. What would you do right now if you learned that you were going to die in 10 minutes? Would you race upstairs and light that Marlboro you've been hiding in your sock drawer since the Ford administration? Would you waltz into your boss's office and present him with a detailed description of his personal defects? Would you drive out to that steakhouse near the mall and order a T-bone, medium rare, with an extra side of the really bad cholesterol? The things we do when we expect our lives to continue are naturally and properly different than the things we might do if we expect them to end abruptly. We go easy on the lard and tobacco, smile dutifully at yet another of our supervisor's witless jokes, read books like this one when we could be wearing paper hats and eating pistachio macaroons in the bathtub. And we do each of these things in the charitable service of the people we will soon become. We treat our future selves as though they were children, spending most of the hours and most of our days constructing tomorrows that we hope will make them happy. Rather than indulging in whatever strikes our momentary fancy, we take responsibility for the welfare of our future selves, squirreling away portions of our paychecks each month so they can enjoy their retirements on a putting green, jogging and flossing with some regularity so they can avoid coronaries and gum grafts, enduring dirty diapers and mind-numbing repetitions of the Cat in the Hat so that someday they will have fat-cheeked grandchildren to bounce on their laps. In fact, just about any time we want something, a promotion, a marriage, an automobile, a cheeseburger, we are expecting that if we get it, then the person who has our fingerprints a second, minute, day, or decade from now will enjoy the world they inherit from us, honoring our sacrifices as they reap the harvest of our shrewd investment decisions and dietary forbearance. But our temporal progeny are often thankless. We toil and sweat to give them just what we think they will like. And they quit their jobs, grow their hair, move to or from San Francisco, and wonder how we could have ever been stupid enough to think they'd like that. We fail to achieve the accolades and rewards that we consider crucial to their well-being, and they end up thanking God that things didn't work out according to our short-sighted, misguided plan. So, while we assume we are works in progress, striving for bigger and better, the real question is, what are we striving for? Are we really making progress, or are we just ensuring a future that is the same based on our present? And only when we look back do we realize how much change actually happened. We appreciate it, but only in retrospect. And the present moment is the final product. We consider ourselves arrived, as finished, as knowing all that we need to know. And maybe it's then, in reviewing what we have and have not accomplished, that we decide we need to make a change. In this present moment. So this then makes the present moment ever so important. It provides an opportunity to make a change, right here and right now. Kobe asks us, at this moment, you have a certain kind of body. You have certain kinds of goals and beliefs and values, and you have certain emotions. In the future, there are going to be all these other people that are going to have certain bodies. They're going to have certain goals, certain beliefs, certain emotions. Some of them are going to be, to varying degrees, similar, and to varying degrees different from yours. And one of those people is going to be you. So what makes that person you? My conclusion is this. To be work in progress, we actually have to make progress. We can never predict the future, but we know for certain that it won't be like the present. And we can anticipate it and think about the future and what it might bring. We can look at other people who are living the future as we imagine it for ourselves. And then we can act based on what others have done. We can prepare for possible events by looking at the people who have been through it. This could be thinking through adversity that may hit us and how we'll get through it, instead of assuming it will never happen and then being caught off guard. It could be looking at what others have accomplished with their life and setting similar challenges for our own. It could involve looking at skills and characteristics they possess that we would like to master as well. Looking at the future with a more realistic and challenging eye not only sparks our imagination, but can also initiate change and progress in our life. Work and progress. Too often, we do very little because we hope tomorrow will just be like today. Same job, same partner, same social gatherings, same routines. We hope nothing major interrupts the flow of things. When in fact, in the blink of an eye, everything can change, and will at certain points in our life. But instead of being passive, instead of assuming everything will just roll like it always did, why not be proactive and ask, who do I really want to be in 10 years? The same person as I'm now, or someone different? And what does it take to get there? And then begin the work that will be leading you to constant progress. The person you are right now is as transient, as fleeting, and as temporary as all the people you've ever been. The one constant in our life is change. I want to leave you with this thought. Right now, you are planning on a safe and linear future that is based on your current state. Often, this leads us to spending years of hard labor only to end up with the results that we thought would make us happy, but are actually more of a disappointment. Why? Because we set goals for the people we are when we set them, rather than the people we become when we reach them. So try to look around this life right now that you're living, this moment that is filled with so many possibilities. Maybe this podcast or a new book that can spark your thinking, a person you admire, or a place that calls for your attention. And maybe you can discover something new that is more in line with the wild and crazy life you really dream of living. And then take action. This is work in progress. Much love.